2.
Okay, 2 for 2. Okay, good.
All right, Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We thank you all for being here today. Today we are very fortunate. We have our own Her Grace NITYA KISHORE Devidasi, who has been featured on this platform so many times. So she needs no further introduction. Today we are fortunate again. She will be speaking to us from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So without much said, Her Grace will put the verse on the screen and then you may take it over from here.
Okay, can I start?
Yes.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayam Udirayet. Srimad Bhagavatam 242. Atma Jaya Sutagara Pashu Dravina Bandushu Rajet Chavikale Nityam Virudham Mamatam Jato. Atma, body. Jaya, wife. Suta, son. Agara,
I think her line got frozen a little bit. We'll wait to see if she can reconnect. Everybody's.
I saw that.
Did you know you can make a full-time income without having to work more than 5 hours a week?
Hare Krishna. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Let's continue.
Open the verse back on the screen.
Okay. His animals like horses and elephants, his treasury house, his friends and relatives, and his undisputed kingdom. Okay. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. To become liberated means to become free from Dehatma Buddhi, the illusory attachment for personal bodily coverings and everything connected with the body, namely wife, children, and all other entanglements. One selects a wife for bodily comforts, and the result is children. For wife and children, one requires a dwelling place, and as such, a residential house is also necessary. Animals like horses, elephants, cows, and dogs are all household animals, and a householder has to keep them as household paraphernalia. In modern civilization, the horses and elephants have been replaced by cars and conveniences with considerable horsepower. To maintain all the household affairs, one has to increase the bank balance and be careful about treasury house. And in order to display the opulence of material assets, one has to keep good relations with friends and relatives, as well as become very careful about maintaining the status quo. This is called material civilization of material attachments. Devotion for Lord Krishna means negation of all material attachments as detailed above. By the grace of Lord Krishna, Maharaj Parikshit was awarded all material amenities and all undisputed kingdom, and wished to enjoy the undisturbed position of king, but by the grace of Lord Krishna, he was able to give up all connections with material attachment. That's the position of a pure devotee. Maharaj Pariksit, due to his natural affection for Lord Krishna as a devotee of the Lord, was always executing his royal duties on behalf of the Lord, and as a responsible king of the world, he was always careful to see that the influence of Kali would not enter his kingdom. A devotee of the Lord never thinks of his household paraphernalia as his own, but surrenders everything for the service of the Lord. Thereby, living entities under a devotee's care get the opportunity for God realization by the management of a devotee master. Attachment for household paraphernalia and for Lord Krishna go poorly together. One attachment is the path of darkness, and the other attachment is the path of light. Where there is light, there is no darkness, and where there is darkness, there is no light. But an expert devotee can turn everything to the path of light by an attitude of service to the Lord, and the best example here is the Pandavas. Maharaj Yudhishthira and householders like him can turn everything to light by dovetailing so-called material assets in the service of the Lord. But one who is not trained or is unable to turn everything to the service of the Lord, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe, must give up all material connections before he can be fit to hear and chant the glories of the Lord, or in the words, one who has seriously heard Srimad Bhagavatam for even one day, like Maharaj Pariksit, from a fit personality like Sukadeva Goswami, may be able to lose all affinity for material things. There is no utility simply in imitating Maharaj Pariksit and hearing Bhagavatam from professional men, even for 700 years. To take Srimad Bhagavatam as a means of maintaining family expenditure is the grossest type of nama aparada offense at the feet of the Lord. Sarva Shubha Kriya Samyan Api Pramadha. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanam Janam Shalakaya Chakshur Militan Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna
Dear devotees, it appears her system got frozen again. So we'll wait, and we hope she'll be able to get back. Hare Krishna.
The lens of seeing everything in its relation to divinity.
This kind of area we have to first convince the parents, to send their children to school. And in school we give them food and all so that they can eat and study.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
The
Krishna.
internet is failing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. We
The
understand.
internet is failing. Now I put only data because the Wi-Fi is failing. Okay, so here in this purport, Prabhupada is giving in a nutshell what is happening to us when you go through accept a grihasta life. Means you get a wife, and then you get the kids. For that, you have to have the house, and then for keeping all things going, you get to have friends and relatives going on, and having a normal life. Prabhupada is telling is because he was going through it. I was thinking some days ago, maybe yesterday, that Prabhupada, he was 22 years old or 21 years old when Bhaktisiddhanta told Prabhupada, look, I have a service for you. You're very educated, you speak English nicely. Could you get this? Could you get this, what's the name? This mission to preach in English? And Prabhupada said, I just got married. I cannot. And then Prabhupada was, so many years after, more than 40 years, 45, 50 years, Prabhupada left his household affairs completely, fully. It doesn't mean that during his life, he was working, giving donation, preaching, writing, studying. He was combining he was combining everything with his Grihastha ashram. Especially, in Allahabad, Prabhupada was living in Allahabad. Now it's not Allahabad anymore, it's Prayagraj. Prayagraj means the king of the sacred places. And for so many years, the Muslim people they were calling this place Allahabad. Allahabad. Habad means city. And Allah, the city of Allah. It was like a provocation. It was like a humiliation for the Hindus to have the Prayagraj, the king of the sacred places, called actually Allahabad. Only now that Modi changed the name for Prayagraj again. So Prabhupada was having a pharmacy or two in Prayagraj, and there he was cooperating with the Gaudiya Mata there and giving donations and helping and going. And Srila Prabhupada was going on parikrama in Navadvip Dham. He went to parikrama a few times. He went to parikrama in Vrindavana also, because you remember that the past time where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was giving Srila Prabhupada instructions in Radhakund. Prabhupada was walking with him in Radhakund and telling him, this is a very famous conversation. He said, I'm very upset because all the sannyasis and brahmacharis are fighting for the rooms in the new temple. He said, they are fighting for this marble. He said, if I could, I would sell all the marbles and print books. So then he was talking like that, and then he gave Prabhupada an instruction. If you ever get money, print books. That's the conversation they had walking on Radhakunda. So Srila Prabhupada was active, by putting spiritual life and in the helping the mission, even when he was in Grihastha life. And what I really believe, how ISKCON devotee men and leaders, they took these instructions or this purport that Prabhupada is giving here in this text. I think they took very wrong. It was a misunderstanding because, after living in India so many times, so many years, I'm living in India for so many years now. When you were there, you can understand who is Prabhupada from where he's coming from, what is India society and what they do. Because so many things is in our heads. There are question marks, because we really cannot catch up what's really what does it mean really means, in the sense of practice. What does it mean what he's talking about? So I really believe that Prabhupada didn't think that we could just neglect the kids and the wife or husbands in the name of devotional service. I don't think Prabhupada had the intention to make devotees disregard the wife, kids, and their professional life, their finances, artificially, because you're not prepared for that. You need sex, you need sex. You need a house, you need a house. You need money, you need money. If you don't, you don't. Don't be a hypocrite. Don't take sannyas. Don't go to brahmachari ashrama. First of all, you understand who you are. Rupa Goswami said that. You have a gender, you have a guna karma chame divya, guna karma chaturvarnya mayashristan, guna karma vibhagasha. That's Bhagavad Gita. You came from past life with a guna karma, you have that, you cannot ignore that. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, you do your prescribed duties. What? Oh, sorry, I don't know. What are my prescribed duties? And Krishna says, it comes from your nature. What's your nature? Your nature is renounced. You don't need anything. You don't mind to live in a community. You don't mind not to have possessions. You don't mind to live upon others, under order. You don't mind to not have luxurious things, this and that. So then you're a brahmachari, or in the beginning of the life, for be trained. And then if it continues, you are a sannyasi. If it's not, if you have needs, and then you are not. So then you have to sign up for the whole life, for working, for being a responsible person. It doesn't mean that you have to artificially, on forced ways what's the name? To fake yourself and do something they're not prepared, thinking that you will be very soon liberated by forcing yourself. But that we watch with people. This is not what is happening. This is not how you react or how you behave. This is not what is happening. We understood that we have to follow our nature, and then by hearing and chanting, and by sangha, and by having prasada, you come to the point of understanding that you really don't belong to this world. And by hearing about Krishna, you can develop love for Krishna by hearing and chanting. If in the second plan, what your nature is, that's how you have to live, because it comes from past lives. You're not sure about what's going on. You got the body, you got some kind of level of education or intelligence, or if for women or men or wherever you were there, that came from your past lives, and how to deal with that. You have to deal your life in this lifetime. This is planted. This is your seed come from the past lives, not in this lifetime. Your seeds come from there. So you're not sure about who you are. For example, why somebody were born in Sweden or Switzerland or Brazil and Venezuela. Venezuela, no passport, no internet, no money, no job, nothing. So then what you can do with that? What you can do? Krishna can be accepted in any kind of situation. Rich or poor, it doesn't matter. Men and women, It doesn't matter. But your situation, you have to deal with your situation. So I doubt that Prabhupada was telling here in this purport that we have to consider ourselves very low class if you are grihastas, or that you have to artificially leave your family, or not accept the family if you need. This is not what Prabhupada meant here. Why? Because, Indian men and women are extremely careful and responsible for their families. Extremely. They're really, really responsible. So Prabhupada never thought that the Western man, could just leave their kids and go, because this is not what the men do in India. This is not what the men do in Indian society. They don't leave the kids and go. They take care of their houses. They take care of their wives. So this is a very serious point for Indian life and for a civilized person. And do leave a family, or mistreat kids or wife, or be unresponsible in the name of devotional service, on the name of the Bhagavad Gita or Prabhupada, is a very bad decision. And I completely believe that if Srila Prabhupada would hear if somebody did that and leave a wife and then accept another wife, because, you don't treat your wife good, and then you almost don't have any relations or any affection or nothing like that, and then the things go down, and then you end up divorcing, and then you get another one, and then you get another one, because of course it's not working, because family life, it doesn't work in this way. You have to make your things right in your romantic or affectionate life, or your marriage life. You must have things there working nicely, properly. And if you don't, then it's a problem with your wife, it's a problem with your kids, and then your marriage is finished. And then of course you cannot live without sex because of her nature. And then this lifetime you cannot live like as a sannyasa and brahmachari, and then you get another wife. And then because you really don't understand what's going on, and then maybe you get another wife. Some people, they get 4, 5 marriage, divorce, because they didn't understand the point. The point is, you have Krishna, and you have the Sangha, and you have the devotional service added to your life. So then you don't think that you have to just mistreat your wife to show everyone and yourself that you are detached. This is not detachment. Detachment will grow in your heart by hearing about Krishna, not by mistreating the wife, not by mistreating the husband, not by mistreating the kids, because I don't love my kids so much, and I don't show that to everyone, and that means I am detached from a spiritual life. I am an advanced person. That Prabhu, that he agrees with his wife, and he gives her a good life, and he is very affectionate with the kids. He's attached man. I'm not attached. Then our men in ISKCON, they did exactly that. Most of them, many of them, destroying so many people's lives. That's very, very bad. But this is not what he's saying here. This is not what he's saying. This is for sure, if a sannyasi hear that, or a brahmachari, they'll be very happy to hear, because this is very good. This is the final, not the beginning, when you have 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids. The most important thing for a father and a mother is that how my kids will be accepting and be happy with Krishna consciousness. happy with Kirtan activities. And if their house is full of misunderstanding and fighting and sadness, they will not be devotees. They don't want to be. They say, what? No way. I don't want to be like my father and my mother. Always feeling guilty because of what they are doing. Always feeling bad and longing. When I'm going to Mayapur, when I'm going to Vrindavana, when I'm going to be detached, all this material life is so miserable. Lamenting like this, saying like this. And then the kids are hearing that. And then they were thinking, I don't want to be a Hare Krishna. And so many are not devotees. So many. So here, Srila Prabhupada is telling the recipe of how the household life is going and how Parikshit Maharaj was so advanced that and so devoted to Krishna that he could be detached of everything else. Although it's not saying here that he was detached before what happened. No, he was doing here his duty with his family, with the kingdom, everything what he has to do as a king. So he was a king. He had prescribed duties as a king. So you are a father, you have prescribed duties. You are a mother, you have prescribed duties. You are an engineer, you have prescribed duties. You are a professor, a teacher, you have prescribed duties. You have a company who builds trucks, you have prescribed duties. Do you want more good example than that? That you have principles and you are devoted to the Lord and you treat people nicely and you are charitable and you are a good father and a good mother. And when they come to know who are you, oh, I am a Krishna devotee. Do you want better than this? How that can be? Be unresponsible in the name of detachment is completely out of the picture. This is not what Srila Prabhupada is telling here for sure, because he didn't come from the background where parents, they leave their kids in the name of, I'm doing my service, my kids, they are a disturbance for my service. Can you imagine? Your kids, they are your service. How they can be a disturbance for your service? How that can be? This is not possible. Srila Prabhupada would never do such instruction, understanding from where he came from. So what he's saying here is not that for sure, although it seems. So this was the misunderstanding, because we didn't understand from Prabhupada came from. Another thing is I want to tell here, one thing more about Jamuna Devi. Jamuna Devi was very, very much qualified. I read Jamuna's life, 2,000 pages book, 1,000, 2 books. One of the best books about Srila Prabhupada. It's not about her, it's about Prabhupada. So because Jamuna was very qualified in arts, she could handwriting very good. She learned in school how to handwriting so many handwritings. She could sing, she could speak very nicely, and she could cook very nicely, and she could worship the deities. So Jamuna, she was skilled. She was a skilled person. You know, Prabhupada, he was trying to, Srila Prabhupada was trying to expand the movement as a coordinator, as a manager of the movement. And then you get a person like Jamuna, very qualified lady. Srila Prabhupada was not looking at the gender. Never. He was asking what you can do. That was his question for anyone. Shamasundar, Malati, Brahmananda, anyone and everyone. What you can do. What's your how many skills? And he was trying people. When they couldn't say, He was trying people in different activities, and he could understand, you can do that, you can do that, you can do that. Jayananda. So Jamuna. So, but then Jamuna, because she was very qualified and she was reliable and very austere, also that so many things she had. She knew how to do stuff, and she was reliable, because sometimes people are very talented, but they're very unresponsible. They can keep up with timing. They disappear. They're lazy. But Jamuna wasn't like that. So Jamuna was one of Srila Prabhupada's right hand. Okay. So, but when Srila Prabhupada and other devotees came to the very Prayagraj that we are talking right now, the very Prayag for the Kumbh Mela, that time they told the devotees that took sannyasi already, by coming to India and see how the Indian women were treated, they told Jamuna to sit behind instead of in front. This is exactly the time when they told Jamuna the first time. And you know what? And even Jamuna, she couldn't say that, but by living in India for 13 years, I can say that, because India was colonized by Islam for 755 years exactly, almost 800 years. 755 years it was colonized. And of course, the Islam has a very different way to treat women. So from this 755 years, the Indians learned how to treat the woman as the Islamic people do. So then they were not having any position or voice or nothing, zero, or any important role or anything. And they will not teach the woman anything besides cooking, washing, and be a servant of the husband, nothing else. So they had also they didn't have, skills for offering to anything. Only those skills, cooking and washing and cleaning, blah, blah. Only, nothing else. So when they saw how women were treated, they decided to treat women the same as they saw in India. Those who came to India, this is not the way the women should behave. What's the name? The chaste woman, the good woman. If you want to be a good woman, the chaste woman, you don't raise your voice. You don't take any role. You don't do anything. You're very good when your head is covered and you are like that. And then you behave like that. You speak very softly and you just cook and serve like that.
That is very good. Very, very nice.
So, but the woman, the men, they cannot deal with this energy. Usually when a woman surrenders fully to the man, what he does? He slaves her. He doesn't know how to deal with a completely surrendered woman, especially the Western men. So it doesn't work. Srila Prabhupada was telling Bhagavatam, women should be humble, and men too. But he said, it doesn't mean that she should be a slave. A slave means no voice, no rights, no personality, nothing. It's just like, who are you? You're nobody. You're nothing. You're just quiet and you cook and everything. And do you think that the Indian women, they are quiet and they are chaste because they're conscious of saying anything, and then the men are there and they are very good, and then women surrender, blah, 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 because they are good? No, it's because they can be beat, they can be killed, and they have no rights to go back to their family's house. Okay? I was in India and I did a big research about that. So this is a point that we have to understand about culture, about social issues, to understand when Prabhupada talking here in the, what's the name? In the purport we have to be intelligent enough to observe, intelligent enough to study and understand what he's talking here, based on reality. Because Srila Prabhupada, although got an order from his spiritual master, he never lived his family life to surrender to the mission. He didn't do it. He didn't do it. He was there, and he had five kids, and he was working very hard. Okay, and he did his duty. He did this duty, and it's very good. Those we that do our duties with our kids and husbands and wives and everything, we understand that by doing that, you really understand what Maya is, what Krishna is, and the desire from going to a spiritual world, that should be, how can I say, that should be cultivated, and that should appear in our heart naturally by realization, not by anything else. Means false prestige that, oh, look, I am very advanced. Not by false prestige or by confusion or by artificially not doing things that you want to do because, you are repressed. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, repression is not good. You cannot gain anything from repression. I'm not saying that you have to go and break the principles. I'm not saying that. I say that there are 9 processes of devotional service: Shravana, Kirtana, Smarana, Vandanam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Atmanivedanam. And we have to follow the main ones, Shravana, Kirtan, and then Smaranam, remember. And with this hearing and chanting, that will clean our heart. It means our consciousness, that you really can understand who you are. And by understanding who we are forever as a soul, that will give us enough strength not to be too involved in the material world. This is the process. Not something in our mind, something, how can I say, some speculation, some mental trip that I am this, I am that, or I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that. Why I did do that? It's forget about the negative. The point is, how much are you chanting? Or how much are you hearing? Or those who want results, how much of the process they are practicing? That is the question, not the negative. Okay, I'm not doing good, but how many positive things are you doing to do good? So why sannyasis that already took sannyasa, already has done the title Swami and Guru, blah, 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 why they fell down? And why they abuse people, some of them. And then, is finds out, and then why they didn't come to the conclusion that, look, I'm not ready for that. And just get married. But no, they hide from the society and behind, in the back, and then they do their thing. Illicit sex. They hide the fact that they are not ready. Why? False prestige, hypocrisy, false prestige, pride. They will be, how can I say, disregard from the society. This is the reason why they don't, they do their things without saying, without being honest. It's better being honest and you fall down, then cheat and get caught, that's something else. If you say, look, I'm not qualified to that position, I have to leave, like Prabha Vishnu. No, Prabha Vishnu did that. Prabha Vishnu Das. He had a problem in Thailand, and then after that, he just communicated that, look, I had a problem, I'm not ready, I'm leaving my ashram. He did that, but he was very honest, very, but many of them, they didn't do it. They just keep going with the sannyas dresses, even they are doing this to sex. Why? It's because of our understanding. Our understanding is wrong, that we are, by maintaining a fake version of ourselves, humble, follow everything, strict, blah, 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 no sex, then we are going to spiritual world. We think by faking, we are going to spiritual world. Can you imagine? By faking something that we are not, we are going to spiritual world. Instead of thinking, I have to improve my japa, I have to improve my hearing, I have to improve my sangha, I have to have more money to give in charity. Instead of thinking like this, we're thinking by faking what I am not, I will be approved and accepted and go to spiritual world. Wrong, isn't it? Wrong decision. Wrong decision. So I believe there is an, please put here your questions if you want to make any questions or fight with me. Let me check here. There is one thing that I should, in the end. Okay. Srila Prabhupada here in the purport is telling clearly to take Srimad Bhagavatam as a means of maintaining family expenditure is the grossest type of namaparada offense at the feet of the Lord. My God. Srila Prabhupada isn't approving people to maintain themselves by teaching Bhagavatam. So what does it really mean? Because if you are a grihasta, isn't it? You have family expenditure, but then you are a grihasta and you only want to teach Bhagavatam. You only want to teach Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada is telling, don't do that. Don't do that. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Because we have a very big speaker, very, very big speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, and he's a grihasta, and he only does Srimad Bhagavatam, only teaches Bhagavatam. And he gets, what's the name? Donation from the activity, because people love when he teaches, and he lives from that. But Prabhupada is telling, no, don't do that. As a grihasta, I think that is more suitable for us to work and also teach Bhagavatam, but not charge and not depend on this for a living. That's what Srila Prabhupada is telling here. So if somebody is telling something else, I'm not sure. But here is what Prabhupada is saying. This is the last point I want to tell. And Prabhupada is telling here, Maharaj Yudhishthira and householders like him can turn everything to light by dovetailing so-called material assets in the service of the Lord. But one who is not trained or is unable to turn everything to the service of the Lord must give up all material connections before he can fit to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. Or in other words, one who has seriously heard Srimad Bhagavatam for even one day from a fit personality like Shukadeva Goswami may be able to lose all affinity for material things. Well, here Srila Prabhupada is telling to dovetail so-called material assets in the service of the Lord. So cold because everybody will die, and then where our material assets will go after we die. That's a problem here, because so this is the reason why he's telling so cold, because you cannot actually have material assets, because when you die, that's it. You die and they're finished. And in the service of the Lord, what does it mean in reality? Means that you have to give your house to the ISKCON Africa or to the ISKCON Brazil, or your assets, then you transform them in service of the Lord? No. By having a deity, by chanting, by offering your food, by don't drink alcohol in your house and don't have meat. It means you're living under Krishna's orders and principles. Means that. Okay, it doesn't mean that you don't have to have a house or give your house. This is what we thought, not true. Okay, and here Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Uchate. This is from Rupa Goswami. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe. Beautiful poetry, isn't it, Rupa Goswami? He's awesome. Okay. Yeah, and Srila Prabhupada is here advising, please do some training first, because if you're not trained up in the brahmacharya ashrama, when you go to family life, you may be entangled. It's a very good advice, the ultimate advice. Get trained before, okay? 3, 4, 5 years training. If you're not going forever to the danda, it's better to stay not more than 5 years. Like the Mormons, they advise to stay 2 years. So stay 5 years, 4 years, then you can, understand better a life of tapasya, austerity. Okay, Haribo. So if you don't have any questions, I'm finishing here.
Hare Krishna. Of course,
from São Paulo, Brazil.
Of course, we have questions. Thank you so much, Madam.
I have 15 minutes maximum because I'm going to ophthalmologist.
Okay. All right. I think we have a question from, is this Kavikanapur?
It's my humble self.
Yeah. Okay, Hare Krishna.
He's the king himself. My question has to do with the issue of detachment with family, children. My question is, what happens when a devotee Prabhu wants to take Vanaprastha, but due to the wife love him so much, she don't want to stay alone. She refused him from going to Vanaprastha, from being detached. The man wants to give his life to serve Krishna, to spread this consciousness of Krishna consciousness, but the wife is refusing without giving permission. So what happens at that time?
Okay, you finish your class. You finish your
Yeah, that's
question.
my question, because I have seen so many men want to renounce, but their wife refused. They cannot go. So what happens?
I think the wife should let them go, of course, must let them go, and then give her best life. Why they are so attached to this man? Why?
Because she's still in love. She's not tired of loving.
It's not very good. So he is very fortunate, actually.
Because you mentioned in your class
so
that a man should not just neglect the wife and children. But sometimes the man wants to do it peacefully, but the wife is refusing. And because the man wants to be a devotee, he violently detached from his family by force and run away.
Yes.
Prabhuji, then what happens? Who's the fool at force?
Listen. What I have heard from Prabhupada disciples and gurus, and Prabhupada disciples in Mayapur, that my friends, is that you don't need to take sannyas or vanaprastha to go to spiritual world. You need to develop love for Krishna. And maybe the men think they are detached, but maybe actually they're not prepared. So maybe the wives not allowing them to go is a protection for them. Okay. But one second option is that if the man wants something and the woman wants something else, wife and husband, they come to some disagreement, and the man has this dream to just go and he has his duty done. If he thinks, I really don't want that, just get a divorce, because this is what happened when you don't agree with each other. This is if it's really, really serious, okay? Otherwise, if you are married and you think your wife is worth it, and she says no, where the man should go? That's my real opinion, And this is what I heard from Prabhupada disciples. You don't need to take sannyas. You don't need to take vanaprastha to go to spiritual world. You want to increase my service? Do this with your wife. Some Prabhupada disciples, they are getting married 72 years old. Getting married, 72 years old. Can you imagine if you leave your wife and then you cannot go, and then you cannot go through the process of detachment, and then she finds somebody else, and then you come back, and then she says, I'm sorry, you decide your life, now I have somebody else, and then you 65 years old, 68 years old, have to find another woman. When you are telling Prabhu, with all the letters, they are detached, but the wife is so attached, they don't want, I'm not sure about that. Who is really detached? Not sure about that. Okay, so that's my answer for you. Is there any other question?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, thank you. Thank you for the answer.
So, Sir Dave and Kalipanapu, they should just divorce and preach.
No, that is not what she's saying.
Kinkusha, ask about yourself.
That is not what she is saying. But NITYA KISHORE, thank you so much for, of course, we all know you. It's very fiery, but we know truth usually is a bitter pill to swallow, but truth is what is going to save us.
Thank you.
I also strongly believe that Srila Prabhupada did not and would not want to see devotees abandon family responsibilities in the name of Krishna consciousness. If it is done side by side, that is very much welcome. And sometimes Srila Prabhupada, I heard from some of Srila Prabhupada's disciples when they were sharing Srila Prabhupada's memories, that one senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada approached Srila Prabhupada and told him that he was going to get married to a Mataji. And Srila Prabhupada knew that this devotee was already married. But the devotee had divorced the wife without even telling Srila Prabhupada, and was going to marry another woman. But just prior to this devotee going to tell Srila Prabhupada he was going to marry another woman, Srila Prabhupada had told all his disciples not to divorce. So when this devotee went and told Srila Prabhupada that he wants to marry this Mataji, Srila Prabhupada said, okay, yes, you can go ahead. And so the few disciples who were around and saw what was going on, they were all shocked that The very Srila Prabhupada who told us never to divorce, this devotee has divorced, and Srila Prabhupada knows that he was already married. He says he's going to marry, and Srila Prabhupada said yes. So the devotees were asked to go and ask Srila Prabhupada why he did that. And Srila Prabhupada said yes. I knew that if I said no, he was still going to marry the woman. And that would be a guru apparat. So in order for me, Srila Prabhupada, to relieve him of the headache of respecting the instructions of the guru, of the spiritual master, I said yes, but that is not what I want. So sometimes we may read certain things Srila Prabhupada has said, and if we do not go into details to find out why he is saying this or doing that, then we'll just go wrong, like you're saying. If somebody thinks that he's a grihasta and he's not going to do anything, all he's going to live on is donations from speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. It's right here, what Srila Prabhupada says. Srila Prabhupada says is improper. But that does not also mean that if you are a grihasta, you don't have to study and speak Bhagavatam. We have to, but we should not solely depend on that. So thank you for such elucidation. Kavikana Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Yes, we have about 5 minutes for Mataji to go. Thank you very much, Mataji.
Yes. Yeah.
Você falar muito practical. Thank you. I really appreciate. So, Mataji, I want to ask, that last statement you read in Prabhupada's purport, where Prabhupada said if devotee just study Bhagavatam for maintain themselves, it's an apparat. So I was just thinking, what is the duty of a Brahmana? Because there are some devotees who like to live a Brahmanical life because they like to live simple life and be contented. And there's other devotees, they like to have the flashy things of life. So devotees have various degrees. But somebody who knows that, say, okay, I want to be a Brahmanical person, I just want to study and do jagyas and teach. So if such devotee is remunerated and is contented with whatever is given, and is not desiring or is not envious of other people who are living flashy life, is it still offense? Because Prabhu just gave a very example now. This instruction of Prabhupada can vary depending on the devotee that is concerned. So Mataji, please, I want you to apply that to your practical speaking into this also. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
No, it appeared for me Bhagavatam here. Thank you very much for the point. And you are telling the person wants to be a Brahmana, have a Brahminical life, a simple life, a life teaching because he is a Brahmana, blah 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 blah. But there is something else, also plus sex. That's the point. What Prabhupada is saying. Prabhupada is so expert. Means that you are all that plus sexual life. And this is plus sexual life means a lot of responsibility that you have to accept. Like, he wants to have a simple life. You know what? The man can live anywhere with anything, but women cannot. Even a married man, for him, they understand, oh, the house is beautiful, is smelling good, is organized, but he doesn't know how women can have a house like this. He likes, but he doesn't know exactly. When a woman is alone, his house is crazy, it's completely crazy, it's dirty, it's unorganized, most of the women. So means that you only think about what he wants. I want to be detached. I want to only reading and teach Bhagavatam, blah, blah, blah. But I want sexual life. I want a wife, and this plus wife means responsibility, more money. So many things come together. So if you really, really, really wants to just read the Bhagavatam and teach Bhagavatam like 100% Brahmanical person, so means no sex. No sex. No sex means no wife, and then you live in the ashrama, and their life is very, very simple. Go to the ashrama. That's the challenge. Prabhupada is telling here exactly that. He's telling, don't live upon teaching Bhagavatam only for maintenance. Because if you really, really are that type, why should you have any maintenance or expenditure in your life? You just go and live in the ashrama. Very simple life. A place for taking baths, little prasad, only reading and teaching the whole day long. If you want sex life, you want a beautiful wife, you want this, then you have to accept other responsibilities. And that point I'm telling here now, so many men, they never spoke up because they had the voice to tell others, look, this is how things are going. Okay? But they never did, because that is mainly manhood, and they never spoke. But after so many years, now ISKCON is more than 50 years, almost 60, then we could understand what's really going on. Okay, so Brahmanical person means you will be a teacher. You will have a Brahmanical occupation. Not like that you only, because you Brahmana, you only read Bhagavatam. And you only read the scriptures and not teach the scriptures. So if you're very advanced like that, no sex class for you.
He also mentioned doing rituals.
Sorry?
He mentioned they also do rituals to maintain themselves. Like person build a house, they do ceremonies for people, they earn a living through that.
And also, Mataji, just to buttress that point, like if we go to...
just a second. I'm sorry. Prabhupada, he's telling about everything is there. And the Prabhupada is telling, you know why Prabhupada is telling this? I'll tell you. Because in India, it happens a lot. Not in the West, but in India, it happens a lot. So Srila Prabhupada is telling, don't live upon this. Don't do that, because this doesn't have credibility when you do that. You understand what I mean? But in Vedic culture, they would usually do that and live on donations. But I believe Prabhupada was concerned about life is so hard in Kali Yuga. The men and the women need a lot of money to keep the kids, to keep the house. So that you bring so much anxiety. And the women are not willing to live an extremely simple life. They're not willing to do like that. Okay? So, and then even if, let's suppose that she's so much in love and she's saying, oh, whatever you give me, I will accept. I am okay with whatever is there. But actually, it's just because she's in love, fully in love. So she is, saying this, but the man has to be intelligent enough to understand that she's in love. She's saying anything. It means she loves me, but I have to give her conditions to live. Means, I had 3 kids. One kid, I had 3 kids, and even when you give birth, you need a proper hospital. Otherwise, they can treat you very bad. So you need insurance, health insurance, to give birth. So can you imagine? And then no woman will like to marry a husband so poor or that don't do any endeavor and live on donations, she would never be happy. She would say, you know what? I think you could do better. So the man is supposed to be very intelligent, isn't it? So he has to understand that she's telling this, she will not accept. Women of Kali Yuga will not accept such a life. I have to work if I
Kali
want
Yuga
sex.
women.
Yeah, and
Women of
men
Kali
of Kali
Yuga.
Yuga is extremely lazy. Men of Kali Yuga is lazy, using the philosophy not to work. Yeah, he's lazy. And
Right.
women in Kali Yuga will not be like want to have such extremely austere life. So you just
But
have to
she's also a
understand
devotee.
ourselves.
She's also a Vaishnavi. She's also
And
here
if we have to, the man has to understand that he has to pay school if he wants sex, and as a wife needs a house, and when kids come, he has to pay health insurance, he has to pay school and rent, and just he has to focus on his career and his financial stability. This is what he has to focus, and then he has to go to bed earlier and wake up early to chant their japa. That's what they have to understand. And the devotees who did that, when they're old, 50, 55, 60 years old, they are good. They have a savings, they have a house, they can chant, they can read, they can give donation, and they are happy. I met many. Those who fake a renunciation, the wives end up leaving them, and they're poor and miserable. So be very, very careful with choices you make. Don't use the philosophy, oh, I have Brahminical nature, just not to
Pure
work
devotee.
hard
I'm a pure
for your
devotee.
life.
All right. Thank you so
Sorry, I
much,
didn't
Madam
hear.
Kishore. I know you.
I didn't hear you. Can you repeat, please?
Oh no, he was cracking
No, I
jokes.
was just trying to joke a bit.
You
You
know,
say we
Mataji,
shouldn't.
you know Kush Pabuna, you know him now in Mayapur.
I'm a pure devotee. I'm using the name pure devotee so I can
No,
fake
no.
it.
He's just cracking jokes.
He's
I
joking.
think, Shumabara Prabhu, did you have something to say before Madam Kishore leaves? She says she has an appointment.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
My humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. It comes across to me that Mataji is trying to establish some new sets of rules. Because I was listening very closely to her, and then she said, in the Vedic time, this used to happen. That's exactly what I wanted to call our attention. So if it happens in Vedic time, and Prabhupada established ISKCON, and he said that half of his mission is not accomplished because he did not establish Varnashram. Varnashram is supposed to mean Vedic lifestyle, and where you have the different Varnas, people engaging themselves according to their qualities. She also said that Brahmana can be a teacher, but just like for her, teaching holy books or scriptural knowledge is not the teacher. By teaching mundane knowledge, that is the teacher.
Just a second, Prabhu. No.
Let me just finish.
No.
Can I finish?
No.
I'm asking question.
Okay. Yes, the class is
if I
mine.
don't finish, there is class
No,
is
just
yours.
a second, Prabhu.
No.
Just a
Let
second.
me finish my question. We're not arguing. It's what I heard you that I'm repeating. You said that the Brahmana can be a teacher, but then he cannot teach holy books. So that means teacher just teaching mundane knowledge is what makes it a Brahmana. And then you said in Vedic literature, you said that in Vedic culture it happens that people live by teaching
you
Vedic.
Finish your request.
No,
let
me land. So I want to give you examples. That Lord Chaitanya time is Kali Yuga time, and they had so many Grihastha disciples who were just living based on Brahmanical activities. This is Kali Yuga time, Lord Chaitanya came. All his disciples, majority of his disciples were Grihastas who were living simply, doing Harinam and doing Harikirtan and maintaining their family. They were married, they have children.
Okay, you finished?
Yes, I finished.
Okay, good. First of all, Srila Prabhupada is telling here in the purport and shouldn't be ignored. Prabhupada is telling, if you have expenditure, don't live your life by only teaching Bhagavatam and get money for your expenditure. It's not NITYA KISHORE's words, it's Prabhupada's words, first of all. First. Secondly, you were talking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time. There was only one devotee, Grihasta, who was not working. That's Srivas Pandit. And there is a pastime in this regard, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu granted him the full anything, even if the gods of fortune would beg. But this is one devotee, an exception. All other devotees, they were doctors. They were doing even Sridhar, Kolavesha Sridhar was very poor, but selling bananas and selling banana leaves. But in ISKCON, we heard the opposite. We think that all the devotees in Mahaprabhu's time, they were like Srinivas Pandit. If you don't know the pastime, guys, if you are there, you don't know the pastime, I will tell very quickly because this is very important. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu approached Srinivas Pandit and told him and asked him, Srinivas, I'm sorry to ask you, but I never saw you doing anything. I never saw you work. So I'm sorry to ask, but how you maintain your family? And then the answer was, he said, I clap 3 times and I wait for 3 days. If there is nothing to eat, even I'm serving you 24 hours, I will get all my family and I'm going to Ganga and committed suicide. This is the level of Srinivasa Pandit's faith and his family that accepted to live like that with him. And this is an exception. And you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him, Srinivas, I really admire you. And even if the gods of fortune, she had to beg, nothing will lack for you. So this is the guarantee that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving to such surrendered devotee. But this is not a rule. This is not a rule. And this doesn't mean that because he did that, he's more advanced than anybody else. No, there was Mukunda Datta, Lochana Das Thakur, so many devotees. Those who are not, they were not grihastas, they were not sannyasis, they were working in many kinds of work. And I told you, you are telling me that I am saying that being a teacher, it doesn't mean teacher scriptures. Let me tell you something. I am here giving a class, and I just got a call to give another class on Sunday. And I don't charge for any class because I have my job. I have my job, so I have my money to pay my expenditures and teach Bhagavatam for free. So how you say that? And not so many women are teaching Bhagavatam and not so many men. We teach Bhagavatam because we are Brahminical inclined. But what Prabhupada is saying in the purport and what I am saying is you shouldn't charge for that, for your expenditure.
Sure. Of course, I agree with that. I agree, but
okay.
I'm not saying...
This is not, I'm sorry, Sahadeva.
Yeah.
I have so much.
There are some statements that
No,
you're making, Mataji, that you are rightly like, trying to create a whole new, system. Listen
New
to
system.
me also. What
Okay,
you're
No, no,
saying,
no, no.
most of the
Madam,
things you're
I'm
saying,
sorry. Just a
most of the
second.
things you're
let us finish.
saying are not acceptable. Let me make it clear.
No,
We
no,
are
no,
not-
no,
we are-
no.
we
This
are-
is not
no,
a
let me
discussion.
also speak. Let me
This
also
is
speak.
not a
Because if
discussion.
you come to
This is
give
not a
class
discussion.
and you
Okay.
think that anything you say, we should swallow it hook and sink line,
No,
that
no,
is not proper.
I
We
don't
have to
think
ask
like
questions.
that.
And you
No,
don't come and just dump everything on
NITYA,
us,
Kishore.
and then you want to go away. You should
Madam,
stay
NITYA, Kishore,
and then face the answers. Answer
we'll
the
address
questions.
it. Okay, Shuvara Prabhu, okay, you finish what you're saying.
Yes, what I'm saying is that she shouldn't come and dump all these things on us. And I mean, listen, I don't know how long you've been in devotional service. This is my 42 years in Krishna consciousness, studying Krishna consciousness and living for Krishna. And I have no regret for it. And you don't come and start teaching us something new here. Listen, the whole Vedic scriptures, you're saying that only Srivas is Grihastha. Majority of disciples of Lord Chaitanya are Grihasthas. Yes, they walk. But then some people dedicate their life to God. How can you say that?
I didn't say that.
Listen, can I
I
finish?
didn't
Can I
say that
finish?
only he
Can I
was
finish?
Grihastha.
No.
I didn't
you
say
say
that.
We'll-
I didn't
we'll
say that.
Address it.
She's just trying to clarify herself, so it's
Yes.
okay.
You go ahead.
I didn't say that.
I'm not making an argument. I'm not making an argument, but I'm also making it very clear that the same Srila Prabhupada established ISKCON with ashrams and asked people to work for God. And working for God, not only in ISKCON, many missionary organizations in the world have people working for God. It is not only in ISKCON. It's not new.
Then you have to fight with the
listen very
purport.
carefully, and listen very carefully.
Then you have to fight with the purport. No, you can scream at me. And I am the speaker.
I'm not screaming, but I'm just feeling that you think you can come and dump what you believe on us. We're not new.
You are screaming. No, I'm repeating Prabhupada.
Okay, Madam NITYA Kishore, okay. Unfortunately, I'm hosting, and we are very much noted for enjoying Srimad Bhagavatam and trying to also comport ourselves.
Listen, why are you cutting me off?
Excuse me.
She's speaking very, very passionately on what she thinks is right, but some of these assertions are not correct.
No, excuse me. Let me finish, please. Excuse me. Srimad Prabhu, whatever you're saying, I'm hearing you. Of course, there are few of us here who are listening to the speaker today, and we all may have a different opinions and understanding of what she is saying. What you are saying is completely different from how I understand what she is saying. Because what she is saying, I am living through it. I'm seeing it happen. And it is going to be spoken by somebody at some point. The fact that we are all advised and encouraged to dedicate our lives solely to Krishna does not also mean that one has to artificially jump to get to a particular point. It has to be systematically. And this purport that Mother was explaining is just repeating what Srila Prabhupada has said. And I actually highlighted it, that Srila Prabhupada is saying that one should not artificially, I asked this question yesterday. Is it yesterday? I think yesterday in this Sangha, that Sri Krishna, Srila Prabhupada says that Maharaj Parikshit was given 7 days to live, and he surrendered everything when he knew that he only had 7 days to live. And for us, we do not even know how many days, hours, minutes we're going to live, but we're still busy working. So does that mean that we should give up anything and everything? And the answer is no. We still have to keep working, but we remember Krishna in all our activities and services. So I am pleading with each and every devotee that, especially when we meet on this Sangha, differences are going to be there, but we should try to address it in a very calm, loving manner. And of course, Mother NITYA KISHORE, actually, she had spent much more time than she told us. She told us she had a doctor's appointment. And if, I don't know in many places, but in most places, if you have a doctor's appointment and you do not show up at the time, you get charged and you do not get treated. So I think that Mother NITYA KISHORE is our regular speaker. We know her. We all are different people. We all speak the same thing, but we say it in a different way. And so some of us understand her. Some of us understand her a little more than what we know her on this screen. And we know her to be a very dear, wonderful devotee. And so with that said, I am thinking that if we have any further questions, we can suspend. And when we have her or anybody else, we can put the question to so that she may be able to go and attend to.
I'm probably sorry, I want to say something to Madam Raja Kishore.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hare Krishna.
Mother, thank you very much for your time. And also, although you say that you're going for some appointment, but we really appreciate for coming. And this thing I want to say is that whatever you have said, I've picked point there, which is very applicable to my life. And what I want to say in general is that when a Sayansi is going to speak, they will speak in terms of realization because that is their field. So when a Griyasa is speaking, they will speak according to the realization. So we should take speakers based on their platform of speaking, and we should not be personal about what they are saying. Let us speak whatever we can take and leave whatever we cannot take, because whatever he's saying is directly from the purport of Prabhupada. So thank you very much, Mother. Please don't take anything personal, and we hope to see you another time. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kavikanapur. And we thank you all for being here as always. And at this point, we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation for our own speaker, NITYA KISHORE Devi. Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Prabhupada ki.